All right, all right. Spring is here, and I figured it was time to bring someone from the home services industry into a podcast because spring is the season when people start thinking about their HVAC, their plumbing, their electric. And who better to bring in than Mike Disney? Yes, I said it. His last name is Disney. No relation to the guys down in Florida or in California. But Mike, good morning. Nice to see you.
It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
And just so everybody knows, Mike is with Winding River Consulting Group, which is a HR and recruiting service for the home service professionals. So, Mike, let's just dip right into it. Spring is here. The days are getting nicer. It's getting darker later, which is nice. Everybody has a smile on their face there when they leave work and it's not dark. So you've been in this space for 10 plus years.
Yep, absolutely.
And you've been at a couple different places doing this.
Yep.
And you've been working with similar tradesmen along the way.
Yeah, I could give you my journey and tell you a little bit about
definitely.
My hustle, I guess, if you will.
Where the grit started.
Yeah, well, I think the grit starts when you're a young kid and and whoever you're surrounded by. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from Baltimore. Born and raised in Baltimore, moved up to New Jersey. Wife went to Towson University. Everybody knows the journey. She wanted to come back home. Came back home. We had 4 children, so they give you roots. You don't go anywhere once your kids find a home. And New Jersey is my children's home, so I'm here forever. I owned an automotive business in central New Jersey called Edison Generator. We had a Lee Miles Transmissions franchise. We had an auto electric shop and a general repair facility. Was working on home service trucks for Gold Medal Service, which was at the time probably
they were the big boys.
Yeah, they were they were the biggest company in the state at one point, and I was able to manage their fleet and get a good relationship with Rob Zadati, and went through a life change. Divorce happened, a lot of challenges in life, and then I was gifted an opportunity to go work for the guys at Gold Medal. Went over there and worked with those guys, and just fell in love with the trades. The HVAC technician, the plumber, the electrical guy. I'm an auto mechanic by trade, so like watching those guys do what they do and being able to serve and help people in their homes, pretty special stuff. So
yeah, when you need a person like that, they are invaluable.
Yeah, and I think like you said something that's pretty interesting, and I think we talk about it all the time. You're like, it's that time of year where people start thinking about home services, right? Monday was great because Monday I was like, you come up from working all day and you're like, wow, it's still light out. This is awesome, right?
I love it. I feel so much better.
The boat's going into water soon. Everything's going to be back to normal. It'll be great.
Yep.
But in all reality, like we're teaching home service companies, or I have taught home service companies in the past, and encourage them to really stay connected to their clients, so there isn't this hustle seasonality of seasonality. I think it's a big challenge for a lot of home service industries, and we try to avoid that, but it does present so much opportunity as the seasons change.
I feel like, though, and tell me if I'm wrong, in the last 5 to 10 years, a lot of these HVAC guys have expanded into plumbing and electric, and a lot of these plumbers have expanded into HVAC to get rid of the seasonality of their lives.
Yeah, I think, well, there's a lot of things that allow that to kind of dissipate, but I think, it's only natural. If you were, doing something in a home, like let's say you're a roofer, you're going to migrate to doing siding and windows just because you want to have another ancillary offer to the client. And so what's more important to a customer that's you're getting your HVAC done than maybe the electrical panel or the plumbing. And if you could branch out into those, now you can serve your clients exponentially.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. And that's what Mike and Rob really developed at Gold Medal Service. Electricians by trade, spent 10 years grinding it out, being the 2 guys out in the field, and then realized there had to be something more. Life was too difficult, working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And
so they started as electricians.
They were electricians, yeah. They probably built almost every Wendy's and Big and Tall in New Jersey and Sleepy's, so they would go and build them out when they were all new, and then they just working, burning the candle at both ends, realize there's more to life and create something better for themselves, and that's when they created Gold Medal Service and the rest.
What was the next trade they brought in?
I think their relationship with Adam created the plumbing connection, and Adam, Mike, and Rob developing Gold Medal into a that 3-pronged monster. And
shout out to my neighbor in Manasquan, Adam, who is the owner of Guaranteed Services. So, for those that don't know, Adam is the Guaranteed Service, who is our next door neighbor at our Manasquan location. So, shout out this morning to Adam.
Yeah, and I've been pretty fortunate to be around some really smart guys in the home service trades, and watching Mike and Rob develop Gold Medal into what it is, and actually having a relationship with Adam prior to that, prior to me working at Gold Medal, being able to watch these guys. I mean, it goes back to where Adam bought a piece of my father-in-law's property to kind of build the plumbing company that he had up in South Brunswick, and then that kind of turned
Well, that's
into
a
Gold
small
Medal.
world.
Real small
Oh my
world.
God, that's really
Yeah,
small.
and my father-in-law was a huge entrepreneur. You want to talk about grit?
Yeah.
You could talk about him because he's been a big, huge influence on me and being an entrepreneur.
What was
and
his
that means.
business?
So
businesses?
I bought Edison Generator from
Oh,
him.
okay.
So he owned Edison Generator Auto Supply, EG Tire and Auto Center in Dayton, Edison Generator. He had multiple different businesses
Wow.
and lots of properties and
A hustler.
just a grinder, and still found time to weed his gardens when he got home at night.
That's great.
That kind of guy.
Yeah, so
right?
he loved it.
Yeah. Just keeping busy
Yep.
and staying on top of things. And you learn a lot from guys that are relentless in their approach for everything. For sure.
So those guys sold out. You moved on. Where was your next grind?
So they sold to private equity. Private equity has come into the space.
Private equity loves this space, huh?
Well, I think everybody should love the space. I mean, it's reoccurring revenue. People need things fixed. It's never going away. You're always going to need a mechanical guy in your home, whether it's HVAC, plumbing. And I think, look, people are starting to recognize how important it is to have a great plumber, great HVAC expert, or electrician in your circle of influence, because your lifestyle's better when your home's better. And so they sold to private equity. I stayed behind. I always say I got sold like cattle because that's what happens when you're a critical manager. You get sold like cattle to private equity. That journey was pretty solid for me. Joe Tadero stayed on at Gold Medal and has taken it to really great heights. Super proud of the work that he's done with the Horizon Group and owning Gold Medal. Mike and Rob built a company called CEO Warrior inside of Gold Medal. I was fortunate enough to be part of that. And then when they sold,
CEO Warrior, just to clarify, is a coaching site.
Yeah, CEO Warrior is a coaching organization that Mike and Rob built and developed inside of Gold Medal Service. We had the opportunity to bring companies from all across the country to watch how we, see how we did things, sit in our dispatch rooms, sit in our install rooms,
Wow.
watch the ins and outs of the business, because a lot of people just don't know the basic stuff. And if they could just witness it, they could execute upon it. And so we transitioned that into a really amazing coaching organization, moved not too far away, within a mile to another building, exclusively did CEO Warrior. So I went over there and became the director of coaching for them.
Very cool.
And then we built it into a pretty sizable company, and private equity came in and purchased it.
That's how we got connected, because one of the guys that you were coaching is how you and I got introduced through Pat Dwyer. Shout out to Pat Dwyer this morning.
Yeah. Ed and Pat, two really great guys in this area from Brick.
Dwyer Services out of Manasquan as well.
Yeah, is that Manasquan,
It's
Brielle, Brick? I don't know. It's like all over the place.
I'll tell you, from a mailing address, it's Manasquan.
Okay.
If you didn't know, we pay taxes to Wall Township.
Got it.
Both Adam and myself pay taxes to Wall Township. You would think it might be Point Pleasant or Brick, but,
Right.
and it could be Brielle on the other side, but technically it's a Manasquan zip code, but Wall Township.
Yeah, so I've been down this way for about a year, and so it's getting to know those nuances
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. But no, Ed and Pat, great guys, really great company, and their managers, Shannon and Mike, are awesome and
Yep.
serve the clients really, really well. And so if you're down here and you need a home service company, that's one to definitely think about for sure.
So that's great. So now you have, for the last 9 months or so, right?
It's about 8 months now.
8 months.
It's coming up on 8 months.
So
yeah.
we're gonna have a first birthday party for it.
Well, we might. I mean, we only got one employee, so it's not. It'll be a huge celebration with myself.
If you want, I could probably make lunch that day.
There you go. That's good.
So Winding River. So kind of go into the hustle of you. So now you've been with a big company. You went to a coaching company. Now you decided to do the recruiting aspect on your own.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of grit in that respect. Kind of give you a thought, staying in theme of your podcast.
Yep.
I think I recognize my expiration date happened right at CEO Warrior. I'd spent a decade there coaching thousands of companies, which is it's a labor of love. It's became a vocation for me. So coaching over 1,000 companies, almost 1,000 companies, not over, almost 1,000 companies, being responsible for over $1 billion of growth in the country in home service spaces, and helping 55 companies exit.
What was the best exit?
I don't know that there's a best exit. I mean, there's been people that have gotten, sizable amounts of money that we'd all go crazy about, right? I think the best exit is always one where you really understand where you're going and what you're doing next, and the exit allows you to really experience your next level.
Okay.
You know, I think most people look at money and then they get excited about, hey, he got 50 million, he got 38 million, he got 15 million. I don't necessarily know that that's the win. I think these guys that are selling are so driven that they're going to be successful at whatever they do.
Yeah, and do something next.
Yeah, so I think when they do sell, when they exit, I think the win is being prepared and the ability to support that next level of dream, which really pretty typically is what you always wanted to do anyway. Like, I mean, I don't know that anybody woke up and said, I want to be a plumber. Maybe it's I want to serve clients in their home, but I think that next level really becomes personal for them. Like, you know, I want to do this, or I want to go and open, you know, something that's really passionate to me about what that is. And I think that's important.
I think that is important. I think when you do something you love doing, it's not like going to work. Like, I love what I do at Wingman. I love what I do with this podcast. You asked me this morning about the podcast, and I just enjoy this. We're going to podcast. We're going to have 3 podcasts today.
That's awesome.
You're one of 3. But it's enjoyable. Like, I love to learn new things about people. I learn something every time I have the podcast, and I hope that somebody can take something away that when they listen. One guy came on a couple weeks ago, Nick Lasardi from Get Wet Power Wash. Shout out to Nick. And he says, if I can impact one person on your podcast, I won. And he sent me a text like 3 days after it was released. Some woman who said that she had opened a company, stopped doing it, and like listening to him made her open it back up.
That's
and
awesome.
to me, like, that's what this is all about. When we first started this, it was never supposed to be what it is today, you sitting here. It was supposed to be Andrew getting content for me for social media for the next week.
Yeah.
It's turned into something bigger than that, and we kind of just every day we kind of laugh and kind of say, wow, we'll just keep going with this. But on the same side of it, on the other side of that is if we can help impact a couple entrepreneurs along the way, more power to the process.
Yeah, and I think if you're an entrepreneur and you're not out there listening to podcasts, reading books, being like just engrossed in education for yourself, then you're dying.
There's so much education. You know, my wife was talking to me and said, you know, did you hear the thing on the news about TikTok might getting shut down? I said, I did. And I said, I really would be upset because I get so much learning off TikTok.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not looking for the dance moves. I'm not looking for the goofy crap that goes on TikTok.
Well,
but I listen to Neil Patel, for example, from a web perspective, and talking about driving conversion by adding such and such on a website. And then I read it, review it, think about it, and I send it to my director of development and say, hey, let's look to implement this.
Yeah, I think social is one of those things, right? I think you got to be careful because there is falsehoods out there that'll teach you really wrong things to do. I think that there's things that you can learn really amazing to implement, and then I think there's the things that are just for fun, right? Yeah. And if you spend too much time on the things that are just for fun, you can never grow and scale. And then if you're implementing really wrong information, so you got to have some credibility and authority behind who you're watching and what you're looking at.
Totally, and I think that's I don't just hit send on the links.
Right.
I read them first, look at them first, and then say, does this make sense? Let me think about it. Let me cross-reference it, and then if I think it makes sense. But again, there's some authorities out there, and again, from an educational perspective, I think you have to look at what you're trying to accomplish, and then think about the right people.
Yeah, I think it's that engineering process. I think naturally for me when I'm on TikTok, because I spend a lot of time there too, because I learn a lot on there, probably a lot about how not to be too. But when I'm there, like I take some of the things that I learn and I put it in my planner, and then I don't maybe look at it that day, but I might go back to it a week later and be like, wow, that's something that I should talk about. You know, how to interact with clients better in today's age with today's complexities, and you know the nuances of everybody working and everybody being on social media and the layers of communication that are everywhere. And
communication's so different than 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Like, you know, now a lot more is done through text, and again, even on these, like, you know, plumbers and HVAC companies and service professionals, like even their websites. Like I was on somebody's website the other day who's looking at me to do some work, and like you could send a video of your problem to them, and I was like, it's just so different than a couple years ago. I remember one time a couple years ago, someone said, "Can we do a FaceTime?" And that was, you know, unique. But you know, but in the old days, people just were like, "I want to come out for a service call."
No, please.
And you know, and again, in the service call world, the customer doesn't want to pay for a service call because they don't know that they're definitely going to hire that professional. But on the other side is the guy doesn't want to get burnt by saying it's going to be X amount of dollars before he sees it. But there's so much that technology's advanced for the betterment of that process.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is. Well, I think like look, technology's here. You got to play in it, right? AI is huge in the home service space, communicating to existing clients, making offers, reaching out, how to outbound. But I do think some of that clinical is super clinical, and it misses that connection. And I think some of the challenges with home service in the future will be that you have to bring personality to the table, right? Like, I mean, I'm gonna say yes to a guy that educates me, informs me, and has a great ability to communicate that to me. Um, I don't want to be sold automatically, but I do believe e-commerce, and I have dear friends that are in that space. In home services and AI platforms like Chirp and stuff where you can automate a lot of different things from your CRM. I think all that stuff is really really important, but you still have to understand the fabric of what you do. You're serving people in their homes, and there's a layer of communication that could come in many facets, but I still think a great conversation, and that's what this is, right? So when you watch a podcast or you're on social media and you're watching great conversation, that's what really makes the world go round. And so if you could do more of that with your people and your clientele and really program that into your business, teach your guys how to speak well, teach them how to be articulate, teach them eloquence in language. I think it's really really important today.
Lem- I couldn't agree with you more. And now talking about social and talking about talking well, I noticed do a Wednesday night
Yeah.
live. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about what got you started in that. Why? What does it do for you? What is your thought process behind it?
Yeah, so I've been coaching on Zoom for 10 years. And so when you create a massive change in your life, some of the things that you always did are hard to not do anymore. And so every Wednesday afternoon, I used to do a call with a bunch of clients. Now I don't have those clients anymore, and I don't coach clients. I'm helping them with recruiting needs, but I get a bunch of friends together on Wednesday night and we talk business. And so I have a bunch of people on that page, and we can get anywhere from 20 to 40 people live.
There was 22 the other night when I popped in.
Yeah, yeah. And so we talk about all kinds of different things. I kind of stay on that edge of recruiting and human capital, and how we were talking about retention of employees the other night. We were talking about how to do some interview processes and all that. And I love it because there's interaction. I learn from everybody else's challenges. I stay sharp on what's happening there, and I guess it feeds me a little bit. It feeds my need to communicate and stay connected to the people that I care about.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And I think it's been a growing thing too for you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I started it a little over a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. I think there's 300 to 400 people in there.
Cool.
Yeah, so I mean, I have a lot of people that are in a circle of influence for me. I've been really fortunate to meet some really amazing people along the way, and it's a snowball from there. And Winding River just gives me this opportunity to stay connected with the home service trades because I do have an affection for it.
Yep. Are you with Winding River Recruiting? Are you going to expand outside of those trades, or is that really where your bread and butter and focus is going to be?
I think there's opportunity to I think like when you have a recruiting company, you could be this one thing for everybody, but I don't think that serves anybody really well. I think for me, I think my superpower is connecting people, probably a lot like you. I think when I introduce people to really great people and doing that, like introducing somebody to a digital guy who I have a fondness for and I love his products, and knowing that they're going to work together for a common goal, I love that stuff. And so being able to do that has been really good for me. Winding River is one of those things where I don't necessarily know that I'm going to go out there and find somebody to help an embroidery company, right? I'm not going to find the guy who can do that work.
Yep.
But I know a ton of plumbers. I know a ton of electrical guys. I know all the critical managers in the space, or for the most part, a lot of them. And so being able to have that connection and handoff, it's a lot easier. But then you really know the talent that you're offering people to. And I think the challenge in recruiting is that I have to offer some kind of value, right? And if I offer you just a bunch of applicants for you to interview and for you to bring into your business and they turn over because they weren't the right people, that doesn't speak well
It
for
doesn't
me.
know. And then after a while, people are going to look at it and say,
Yeah,
"Is this
and
the
it's
right
just like
fit?"
it's watered down approach. And I want to be the guy that's there throughout the onboarding process. Because I'm a firm believer, if you make 91 days in a business, you're part of the family. And so if I can get you through the onboarding process, you have a love affair with the values and vision of the business, why would you want to leave? And so if I can help you onboard and help you onboard your quality people to better level, I think that the results you'll get are expedited and exponential.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
And I think that you bring the value of that onboarding, because I think a lot of people don't do that. I think it's get in the door.
I think it's really challenging, right? I think a lot of people sit in a world where, a lot of recruiting companies are handling a lot of caseload. I don't need all that. I don't want a whole lot of work. I want this to be a lifestyle business, but I also want to serve people at a high level. And I can't
You're a boutique.
Yeah, I can't go out there and be everything to everybody.
No.
So I got to pick and choose. I probably am not that guy that's going to go chase plumbers. Right? If I know a plumber, I'll hand a plumber off, but I'm not going to chase plumbers for you. In today, just think about where we're sitting, right? With all these big players and some of the small players, guys like to migrate. They like to bounce back and forth, and that's probably not a journey for me, right?
Yeah.
In terms of capacity.
No, because again, you're looking for that long-term value relationship.
And I think a critical manager can change a business much faster than one technician. So that's really what I try to do, is help find the critical people, raise the intelligence of your organization, and then get you to the next level. And I think maybe the value proposition is I've held all those positions, and I've coached all those positions.
And there's grit in that recruiting. That's a hard game.
You got to stay at it, right? I think just being an entrepreneur, and I don't care if you own the, over here there's like, the hairdresser, the liquor store, the bagel shop, we get 10th Avenue Burrito right across the parking lot. All these guys, the guys that owns these businesses, they got to grind it out, man. Every day is a new day of planning. Every day is a new horizon. You got the opportunity and you bring one person into your organization, you have the opportunity to change it forever. And so I think that's the real true grit of an entrepreneur, right? Taking on that risk and then not allowing yourself to be exposed to it.
Yeah. And I think part of the job of some of these directors of different positions, or director of operations, or director of sales, is constantly part of their job is recruitment. It's part of their job is to have
for sure.
have postings on the LinkedIns of the world and the job sites, so that they're always seeing talent come through. Even if you're not hiring per se, you need to have that so that you just have ongoing, and you see what some different skills are, and you see what other guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure.
I find
it funny, and I've always said this to all of my clients, and I'll say it forever. Nobody has a recruiting problem. Nobody has one. Everybody's got a retention problem. So if you could go back to the day you started your business and you had every employee you ever hired, would you need capital from a human perspective? You'd have it all. And so why do people leave? That's what you got to look at. Why are people leaving? What are your retention rates in your employment? That's really the important stuff. And I think that like you just said, the reason that guys bellyache and bitch that they can't find people is because they're not looking. The guy who's going to tell you I can't find any good people, well, I don't know, ask the question all the time, what if that's not true? Because I could go to any Wawa around and see tons of service experts working. They're just coming in to get a drink and heading to a job. So if I could meet them where they are and talk to them all day long and impress upon them why I'm a better solution for their lifestyle and their life, then why wouldn't they come work for you?
I don't disagree with you.
And so, because a lot of guys have jobs, and I don't want guys to have jobs. I want them to have, longevity and career aspirations and ascensions in businesses. Yeah. I was pretty fortunate to come into Gold Medal, to run the Costco program because they were struggling with that. But then I was really given a path of ascension to go from a retail sales manager to the sales manager to the director of sales, and then ultimately being a coach for other organizations and doing that stuff. Profound opportunity, but you have to be that guy presenting opportunity to your people. And it's an everyday thing. If you're not looking, like if I go out in the parking lot and meet a guy that's doing HVAC work, I'm going to say hello to him because maybe I can hand him to Ed and Pat.
Yep.
Maybe I could talk to Adam or Helmy, or maybe I could talk to Andrew DeSanto and say, hey, here's a guy for you.
Who's Andrew DeSanto, so we can give him a shout out?
DeSanto Electric, that right down in
DeSanto Electric. Shout out to these guys.
Andrew's great. There's a lot
in Belmore?
No, he's down in Brick.
Oh, in Brick.
Brick Point area right there.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, and so.
Well, you don't know your towns.
I don't. It's somewhere there.
Somewhere in that vicinity, but it's not Belmore. We know it's not Belmore.
Right. When you go down 80, I don't even know the road, so I'll sound stupid.
All right. So probably I'm going to go with it. It's in Brick. So
yeah.
When we launch your podcast, we'll shout him out.
That's it. I'll tag him on my page.
Perfect.
Today. How's that?
That's
right?
great.
No, Andrew's a good young kid, great family guy, and he's growing a really solid business. Electrical guy.
You have a lot of good guys right in your own backyard now.
Yeah.
It's great. So I love what you're doing. I think it's great. I can't wait to talk more. There's a potential for a business acquisition podcast. Somebody asked me to do a forum on that. So if we do that, I'd love to
that'd be
have you
great.
on back, because I think you can give a perspective from some of these buyouts that you help put people together on.
Yeah. Well, at Warrior, there's over 50 people that have exited, and being part of that journey, sitting in on some of the diligence, understanding what some of those guys are looking for. It's been a really great journey. I mean, it's pretty crazy how much energy there is in the home service space, but it's really awesome. It's really awesome, and guys are doing great work. I think most I think one thing for your audience to kind of take from us as I talk about home services, recognize that the plumber, the HVAC technician, the electrician, the landscaper, they've all changed. They're not what they used to be in my dad's age, right?
Totally.
Yeah, and so now they're highly trained, they're
Educated.
incredibly informed. And so when they come to your home, don't shy them away. Listen to what they have to offer, because you can learn about your house and you can learn how to increase your lifestyle in your home if you just listen to some of the things that they have to offer.
That's a great tidbit. That's a great sign off. Mike, I really appreciate you coming on this morning.
Love it.
I'm glad that you were able to make it down here, and I look forward to being in touch with you soon.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. All right, man.
Have a great day.
Yep.